Doing good.
Yeah.
And now, Detailing Success and PNS Double Black present the Renny Doyle Podcast, a podcast for blue-collar entrepreneurs. Hosted by the detailer of Air Force One and founder of both Detailing Success and the Detail Mafia, Renny Doyle. And now, here's Renny.
Good morning. What's happening, man?
Not much. The usual, I'm playing around with a new webcam. I got the same one you did. So,
how you liking it?
I'm seeing it. It's pretty cool.
Did you figure out how to control it on your Mac?
No.
So
All I did was plug it in and select it so far.
Yeah, so I downloaded. They said that it's not compatible with a Mac for controls and stuff.
Huh.
But I found a software called Webcam Settings, but I can't get that to launch this morning. I tested it and it does work amazing with the camera, or it did. But I think I just got to reboot my computer.
Gotcha.
So it is what it is. So it's a great morning. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. And this is one of my favorite. I love these this Q&As. Just throw it out there. And we've got some already really good ones that people had asked about. And so we're gonna jump into that. Good Thanksgiving last week, Chris. Did you guys have do anything special?
Yeah, we just did the usual and went over to my mom's house, and unfortunately my brother's side of the family was a little under the weather, so we were missing a couple. But we when they were feeling better a few days later, we had leftovers on Sunday with them. So, kind of had two Thanksgivings that way.
Oh, right on. That we were up in southern Utah with our oldest daughter, and spent time, got to see her whole tribe of friends that they've built there. Unfortunately, they're moving, but they're all pilots, so they all know each other. A lot of them are going, to like positions across the country and this and that. So,
yeah,
friends for life when you're that age in your 20s. Some of those bonds that you build are pretty intense. So it's cool to see your tribe. She's got a really good tribe around her, and they had fun, and the kids had fun, and it was a good time.
Well, that's cool.
You
didn't bring all the dogs with you, right?
No, we took Coda's the only one that will eat the house while we're gone. I mean, literally eat the house. So she's our new Doberman puppy, and she traveled good, but she didn't like it. And Doberman, fierce. Oh no, this is the biggest cupcake in the world. She's got a big bark, but she's a cupcake.
Yeah.
She didn't like it though. She didn't like being on the road at all. She just hid and wasn't, she got along. She first time she'd met our daughter's dogs. First time she'd seen a cat. Could care less about the cat. Didn't care.
Was she pretty calm in the back of the car, or was
she was real calm? She just hit her head and just was ignoring that she was doing what she just wanted to be home.
Yeah.
So it was fun to see how she would interact. She's definitely not a traveler, so that's cool, But yeah, we did stop by a store that you had recommended. I didn't even know it was there, and so it pretty incredible.
When we went to Idaho over the summer, we saw billboards on the way home when we came through Utah for this place called Modern Warriors, and my son is a gun nut, so we stopped and took him in there. And man, what a cool store! So
yeah, it was like a nothing I'd ever seen. They'd done a really good job, very friendly, knowledgeable staff. I was right. Diane did, no pun intended, pulled the trigger on another gun. So pretty nice. Diane, wonder she's going to use it as a concealed carry weapon, and really set up nice. I mean, right out of the factory ported, real nice red dot on it, very compact. It's an H&K, and usually, I mean, H&Ks, I like them. We've got one long gun by H&K, and I love it. It's accurate as heck, fun to shoot. Only time I've gotten into competition shooting was with that gun. Really accurate. You guys, we didn't shoot that when we were near out last time. We'll bring that one out. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, it was a good trip. It was fun seeing everybody. Hi, Sam. How are you? So many good people on right now. Wow. Look at this. This is great. Exactly. Samantha goes, yeah, of course you got another gun. Yeah. Well, it was my idea to go in there. She goes, yeah, we're going to be in there. I got to go pick makeup up and stuff like that. And I went in there, and an hour after I was done shopping, she's still in there. So I knew she was going to buy something, and it's cool. I wanted something, but what I saw was a little on the high side. So I have to, I should have just done it. Right. I mean, it was everything I wanted, but it was like, nah, I'll hold off. I
couldn't believe the price tag on some things in there.
Yeah. This is one of the ones that was on the high side.
Yep.
They had some cool stuff in there. It's pretty fun. And I want to tell you, let's relate this back. So it's not just the customer service, very important. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow night. The experience is what you told me about, and what brought me in was, I mean, it's set up nice. But it was the greeting. We didn't pass by anybody without somebody saying hello. Very professional. And then when he did talk business, they knew their stuff. They really knew their stuff. So it's a lesson to all businesses. And then when you first pull up, there's a cool H1 Hummer, parked outside. And so the motif matches, the store. So it was quite exciting. And they just did a great job of taking and setting themselves apart from any other gun store. And here is a great thing, is the atmosphere versus any other store I've been here in California was completely different. It was 180 degrees of what you experience going into Turner's or Bass Pro Shop, and they were busy, but they had the manpower there to handle it, and they knew their stuff. And even though it was Black Friday when we went in there, and it was the busiest day of their year too for shopping, I mean, it was packed, is that you didn't go ungreeted. And if you needed assistance, you had it.
It was there.
And you weren't waiting very long. And I wish more businesses got that, I mean, it's customer service and just being on it. And their prices were competitive. I wouldn't say definitely, you're going to buy their experience, not just a product.
Right.
I think that was very clear when I walked in there and I started talking to them. And so it wasn't bargain basement, prices. The other thing they did is they really high quality. They had some very, what Diane ended up buying, very unique, hard to get. Only a few of them out there, and that's what sells. And so look what I just said.
Yep.
Unique, hard to get. It's not cheap. They sold knowledge. They sold connection. They sold relationships. It's pretty cool. So, all right. Well, good. Hey, let's roll into it. And you want to roll into somebody's live real quick? You want to look down through the list? And
we got a couple that came in. We'll get to them here. I'm keeping track.
Sounds good.
Real quick though, do you want to chat a little bit about what we're doing tomorrow night? And make sure everybody knows. Tomorrow
night is that the last several years we've all been. I mean, it's just been a whirlwind of great business and things. We used to put on monthly kind of training seminars for just the general public, and we got, like everybody else, just so times where it was crazy. We really, and so now we're seeing a definite slowdown in the economy. Some places, are feeling it a little more than others. Spending habits are changing with consumers. And so there's a lot of different things happening, and we're going to put on tomorrow night kind of we're having a couple guests come on. We've got Michael, which just came through training just a couple months ago. Somebody new in detailing. We're going to talk to it from his perspective. And then Justin Labato, one of my really good friends, again, somebody that came through training several years ago and has really built a empire and a life. More importantly, a life. His lifestyle is he's built. A lot of people do the opposite. I've had the tendency through the years that you get where you're building your empire and that's your entire life. And I think Justin's done a great job, far better than what I did, at making sure he balances. He's working hard, but he really does a good job of balancing out. And there's a funny story on that we'll share tomorrow night. But we're going to talk about getting through this slowdown. I think we're just starting to see it. I think it's going to be an interesting 2024. I don't want to freak people out because some of our best companies really built up during the slow time of 08. But this is the first time we've really had something in the economy happen like what's happening or what's going to happen in over 10 years. And so we want to take and teach you how to survive it and then turn it into a thriving time period in these challenging economic times. So that's tomorrow night. I think we're pretty close to being booked up, right? I mean, go sign up, but we do have a limit.
There's I don't know, something like 150 people registered to attend. So we'll see how that goes. But if you haven't signed up yet, I just put a link in the comments there on these posts, and you can also just find it on our social media too. So it's a Zoom link. It's going to be a Zoom meeting, and Renny's going to have a presentation. He's going to have conversations with both Justin and Michael, and then depending on how much time we have, we will answer some questions live with our guest on the subject.
Well, and it's kind of cool because P&S and Dynabrade have got, and us. It's a three-way investment. And this has got an interesting offer to y'all that we'll share tomorrow night. And I shouldn't say to y'all for just a couple, select people, but it's going to be a fun time. And then for those that are listening to this, and it might be after the point, we do record it, so we'll upload it to YouTube. Yep. So you'll have the opportunity to watch it. So let's jump into that. I'm really excited. Go sign up because it's going to be fun.
For sure. Busy week with that stuff.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, we'll jump right into it here. I got let me get to my questions real quick. And I'm gonna start with this one, which is one of the ones that was sent in to us yesterday. Jannard Johnson asks, can a mobile detailer offer quality services like ceramic coatings and PPF in a mobile environment?
Ooh, PPF, I'm going to say no. That's a tough one. You've got it. It's so, I mean, I know a couple people that are doing it mobile, but they've got a really unique setup. There's one in particular that's over in Europe, is that they will do it, but they've got basically, they're really expensive. I would just say no. I think PPF is, you're going to have enough. You got to have the plotter. There's so many things, and the car's there for so long. I think to do it mobile, in somebody's garage or something like that, it's just not going to happen. The one person I'm thinking of, pretty private individual, they've got it figured out, and I still think it's way too much struggle for what they do. But they've also got a 1% clientele that like it's their situation's completely different. The shop behind me is what they're working in garage wise, So I mean, they basically have got a cargo trailer, a really nice one, completely decked out. They go in and they set up almost a clean room situation. They've got far more invested in that mobile operation than they do if you were to do it in a shop. It's there. Now, quality detailing, absolutely. Coatings, some coatings, it depends on what coating you're using. Not all coatings are as mobile friendly, but I would say, yeah. I mean, the biggest thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to figure out the direct sun situation, because any coating that you can put on in the direct sun probably's got lower longevity, I would say, but coatings are changing too. And so, when I'm starting out and I'm doing coatings and I'm starting in mobile, maybe you're on a budget, you're just starting out, I'd figure it out. I think you can figure that side of it out. Is it better to work in a shop? Absolutely. But here's the other thing. If you got a garage at home, just taking on those high-end coatings, convert. We live in a time to where you look at what Matt Mormon and his group have done with the garages. You guys are going out and spend $150,000 building their garage into a shop that's stunning, that's gorgeous. And so you can definitely make that happen. Every operation we started, it was started out with our shops of being mobile, and then we grew into a fixed location. But nowadays, like I said, my most popular service that I did was coatings and correction when coatings first came out, and I wanted to be home with our youngest daughter, and I did it out of the garage, and it worked great. It was fantastic. I loved it. And it was it was just our customers loved it too. And so I think that's probably the answer. PPF, man, boy, that's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah. I think the coating side can be done, especially if you carefully select what coatings you offer.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely want to work in the shade, pull into the customer's garage if you can, but if not, have canopies and keep in mind where that sun is, like you said. Rick Cole just brought up a good point. He said that, CCI, Ceramic Coatings Inc. has a coating called Mobile that they've done in a mobile environment. But I almost think their advanced coating could be done mobile if you're careful enough,
Listen, now with all of the blow up garages that you can get, if you think of the bouncy houses that kids, we had one up in Idaho. If you think of the bouncy houses, now you can pull this thing up and pipe air conditioning into it or heat into it. We actually worked with a trailer company, and we're going to build a mobile detailing studio in a trailer that had pullouts on both sides. It was pretty cool. We were in the midst of designing that when I started selling out our business. So, and it's again, that one, the coding and correction side, no problem. That's been proven 100 times. Sam just chiped in. She does it. We've done it. It's doable. And if you make it convenient, again, there's good money in making it convenient for people. But think outside of the box. What's your availability, and just make it look different, and stand out. Don't be average. And there's definitely coatings out there now. The corrections, again, being spoiled in a shop is definitely having everything fixed and right in your location. Boy, there's some big benefits to that, but the ongoing cost, the ongoing investment in a shop is going to be a concern when you're first starting out. And that's why we started out everything mobile. The other thing is mobile's not cheaper, is that when we had shops and we never closed down our mobile unit. We always had a mobile unit in every shop. That was our premium service. So when we get a quote out, let's say we quoted somebody $1,200 and they said, okay, well, is that mobile? No, mobile's $250 more. And the reason why we charge more for that is we had more time involved in getting there, setting up, making sure the mobile unit was set up. We had a really nice mobile unit, making the setup when we got there, the breakdown when we got there, and then the cleanup when we got home. There was, and the travel time. And so all of that was considered. So it amazes me when mobile detailers go cheaper because they're mobile. I think it's the dead opposite, is that you can take and charge more. And I think that it warrants it. Even in these difficult, challenging times with the economy. It's funny talking to people leading up to this. There's some areas of the country that aren't really being affected at all yet. There's other areas that are getting hammered pretty good, and they're filling it. And when I say filling it, it's everywhere from the mobile detailers, the shops, PPF. We've talked to several suppliers, manufacturers. It just depends on where you're at and what's going on, as if you're filling it yet. But everybody's going to fill this one. There's going to be a sting in this one. We're at the entry level of it. We've been talking about it for 14 months. Just be ready for it. Even if you don't feel it, be ready for it. Up your game.
Yep. Rick says, just commenting, he says, we have raised our mobile rates now that we have a shop.
Amen. There you go. And so I think that, in markets that you've got a lot of mobile, I always hear that, man, there's so many detailers. Then be unique. Nobody can replace you. Nobody can replace the culture you offer. Nobody can replace the customer service. Is be you. Figure you out. And it's amazing. It's amazing.
Here, we just had a question pop up that's related, so I'm going to go ahead and bring this one in. Tilbury Autoshine asks, so starting off mobile and now being in a shop, what do you think the premium surcharge should be if you're going to do a mobile job instead of at your shop location?
Great question.
Says the economy here in Canada is quite rough already, so I'm not sure if mobile would even be worth it.
Well, I definitely probably wouldn't if you're not doing it right now. There's a convenience factor. If you can get let's say that you go to a campus and let's say that IBM's got a big operation there, and you can go out once or twice a week and do wash, clay, and protects on, 17 cars, something like that. Well, then it's worth setting it up. Here's the thing. There's two things. There's survival during slow times and there's thriving. The first thing you got to figure out is how to survive. And I always say no to cash discounts, right? I've said that even with Chris. We had a meeting yesterday. No cash discounts, right, Chris? I mean, I preach that. But on the other side of things, when I was starting out, if somebody offered me half price and my bills needed to be paid, dude, I survived. I took it. So premium charge on mobile. If you're slow and they want it mobile, maybe there isn't a premium charge. Maybe you eat that premium charge just to get the business and to have the repeat customer and to build up trust with people and ask for referrals, So maybe that's the survival arm of it. If you're thriving and your shop's busy and somebody calls in and they want it mobile, or your shop's got a nice solid schedule and they want it mobile, it's going to take you off your game. I think, a $250. I mean, it depends on where you're at. If you're new, maybe $100. If you're really got a good reputation going and you're well respected and you're busy, I think a premium charge. How bad do you need it and how bad do you want it? There's what it comes down. If you don't really need it, is maybe that service isn't available at this time. If you really hate to turn it down, it's a good customer. Is maybe it's a $250 surcharge. Maybe you're surviving, you're busy, things are great, but not overwhelming, and you really want the work. Maybe it's $100 surcharge. Or coming back to, hey, I'm brand new, man. I got my cell phone bills due tomorrow. My mortgage on my house is due tomorrow. My insurance is due, whatever it is. Dude, just go make the damn money and pick up a new customer. It's easy for me to sit here and tell you how to survive when I've gotten through it. No, that's how I did it. Is that, and there's no, and again, double standard. Yeah, absolutely. Do I like cash discounts? Chris will tell you, no. Anybody that works with me, no. I don't want to set that up. But man, when I needed to eat, my kids needed something, we needed something, is that I did what we had to do to bring the money in. There's where you're hustling. There's where that's just reality, man. That's survival. Is that, we're out and we've gone looking for people, and we found them and they're messed up and they want to get warm. They don't mind that they're getting a jacket that I haven't used, that I use it for victims, and it's been on some pretty gnarly rescues. They just care about they don't care at what brand they're wearing when we're warming their body up and getting them to survive. They don't care. They don't care if it's not a North Face jacket. And so just freaking survive it and then add on as you go. But I wouldn't add on if you're already doing well and surviving in a shop. I'm not sure right now if that economy up in Canada is already a little challenging. I think I'd save my money for some great advertising, some pinpoint advertising. And we're going to talk about this tomorrow night of hyper concentrating your ads, using a compass versus a GPS. We're going to go old school tomorrow night. We're going to jump into some of that. Is that, it's just, there it is. This is a hot button for me. The reason why is that every 3 to 5 years back when I first began, all the way back, almost 40 years ago. God, that sounds weird. Almost 40 years. Well, it was 40 years ago. Is that we had economic slowdowns every 3 to 5 years. We had hit a speed bump. That we haven't had that speed bump in 10 years, plus 10 years. It's been 14 years, 15 years. Really, 2010, since 2010, we've been building and building and building. I mean, times were kind of lean, but a lot of businesses really built up since 2010. That's been a while. That's been a long while.
Yep. For sure. All right. Well, next one. Steve Haas sent this one in yesterday. Can I use Brake Buster on lower panels and trim that are soiled with heavier road grime? Is it safe on paint and trim? And if so, what method would you suggest and dilution?
I always caution anytime you're using any kind of chemical on any kind of surface. It's not a Brake Buster. I'm not worried about Brake Buster on surface. I'm worried about the condition of the surface. So is it old plastic that you're hitting it with? Kind of a rule of thumb, if anytime that I'm putting on, a Brake Buster type product or an all-purpose or a degreaser or something like that, is that if I'm cautious with it, because the new trim, I've got my Ram, you can barely see it in the picture with the camper there, is that I used some product on this year, and had I not taken and just lightly kind of sprayed over the trim, is it probably would have stained it, because trim on these vehicles, it's not as high quality as it used to be. And so anytime I'm using Brake Buster, I do use it on this all the time, because it's our overland rig. You can see the camper on it, right? So we use it for that exact purpose constantly, up in the wheel arches, on the trim, from basically when I go out, and we go out, we take and go overlanding, is basically from the door handles down. It's filthy. And so we use it on there. But one of the things we do to make sure that we don't stain it is, if it's really warm outside, probably not the best time to use that. So we use it, accordingly to the heat. B, we try to get in the shade. C, is we do mist a little bit of water on there first, or take a damp, something, apply it. Or a lot of times what we'll do is we'll foam it, just put a light foam, not a real thick foam, out of an IK sprayer. IK sprayer foam for that purpose is awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, I use it in an IK sprayer like that, and the ratio is 7 parts water, 1 part Brake Buster.
Yeah, and that in an IK foamer like that, it's awesome. And so we break it down like that. There's a lot of ways. If we're going to spray it direct, what I'd still do is hit it with an IK foamer and have it that 7 parts, 7-to-1. Is that what you said, Chris? Yours is? I think that's what we use here too. I should have gone and looked. We do the same exact thing. Hit it with that foamer first. If you need a little stronger concentrate, then hand spray it on a little stronger, and then agitate and rinse. I like to rinse it. So I'll put it on with the foamer, let it break up, rinse it, get it broke up, see how much more I've got left. IK spray it again with that, put it on a little thicker, and then go ahead and agitate it. So I've got the bulk of the stuff broken down and off of there before I agitate it.
Cool. Well, Sarah asked us a question that's sort of related, not about Brake Buster, but about getting stuff off cars. So how about baked on bugs? Any tips on how to get them off easy?
Oh, bug off, man. It's awesome. And again, depending on depending on what the surface is like. Man, surfaces on cars right now, man, some of them are really chintzy, right? When you get into that chintzy, it's not that the chemical is too strong. It's just that the material has just changed, and they're not as trustworthy. You can't trust that they're not going to stain up as much. So again, what I'll do is IK sprayer with just a little bit of pearl, probably mixed to that, maybe 10 to 1 pearl. I'll just foam on a real light mixture of water and pearl, that it's real drippy. It looks just sudsy. I'll just spray that on there and then hit the bug off, let it sit, don't let it dry, agitate it a little bit. We use a bug sponge, a very light duty soft bug sponge if needed. A lot of times you don't really need to do that. Just a nice mitt is going to get it off there, and then repeat as needed. And again, bug remover in general is one of those products that on new generation vehicles, if you're not careful, it will stain. Like again, on this Ram, the bumper material is a weird texture material, not even the plastic, the bumper. And we've noticed on these new Rams, let's say 2019s and newer, is that any kind of chemicals, even soapy residue, if you don't get it off, leaves a weird line. It will come off eventually, but you got to do a little work to it. And so material surfaces have changed on the vehicles. You just got to be conscious of that and make the right decision on that. But love bug off, man. It works great.
Yep. I don't deal with too many bugs here, but so usually the ones I deal with, they come off pretty easy. I don't have like the caked on, ton of bugs.
When we went, I drove this thing up to and camped out along the way up to Air Force One, and then a really, really aggressive camping overland trip on the way home, right? Which I'm going to do the same thing this next year. I actually had to stop. It got so splattered that I had to stop, and I took some bug off with me, some pearl soap with me, and I would just find a truck stop and then pre-treat it and spray it all off. Now the nice thing is I had Defender on the truck and on the camper, and literally I never had to scrub it. I just had to take and just spray it off. 90% of the bugs would just come off. So it's pretty good.
There's the trick. Have a good coating on there and it'll be easier.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And even, it's again, if you have customers that, down in, I just saw William, they got love bugs down in Florida. Those little things are, oh God, they're nasty little bugs, man. And they will etch the paint in 48 hours. I mean, they'll etch right now. It's again, really important that you get your customers to do maintenance and get, a product, a protectant, a coating on there, every 2 or 3 months in those areas, because that acidic bug juice is really, it does a number to everything. And we can, even the strongest coatings, we've seen it go right through. You can name the coating. We've tested it, and it's nasty. It's really nasty.
Very cool. Well, shifting gears a little bit, not sure who this one was. It says Facebook user because they're commenting in a private group. But it says, question for Renny. With all the different parts of the business you are currently working on, what is your favorite part?
Oh, I'm going to make this first about seeing other people grow. Freaking love that. And then making money. I mean, I like to figure out how for Chris and I to work less and make more. And it's we have these index card meetings. We get these little, I should get one and show you guys. And it's old school, but Chris, it's been efficient, hasn't it? Since I went over there.
Yeah.
It's just a hyper concentrate. Maybe what we'll do is show that tomorrow night. Remind me, and I'll bring that up tomorrow night.
I have my stack of index cards sitting right over.
I do too. Mine
in a folder.
I just don't want you guys to be looking at my belly button when I reach over and grab them. But I would say I just love the expansion. I was just talking to Matt Kelly this morning, Detail World. I mean, his expansion. I think that when you're scaling a business, and we've got so many good things. Is we've got the training, the Mafia, Double Black. Now our joint effort with Dynabraid. We've got some other cool things. Again, collaboration. We talked about that. It's amazing how that's taken off, and a lot of buzzwords that all of a sudden now other people are, talking about. Isn't that amazing? Original people are. Anyway, we're collaborating with different manufacturers on some really cool stuff. So I think that collaboration is really fun. I think watching, this is a good one. Watching people that want to build a life that happens to have a really cool business with it. And what I mean by that, everybody concentrates on building these empires. What about just building a nice business that supports a really good life? And when I said that with Chris, go back a second, is I said that how we want to make more money working less time. It's not necessarily making a lot more money. It's doing what we're doing, increasing our income, but not having to grind it out quite as hard.
Yeah.
And so I love seeing people. Justin has figured out. I mean, he's working hard. He really, listen, it comes in chapters, just like a book, your life. When he bought his new building, he went back to working really hard. He had to scale that thing. He had to figure it out, and I'll let him cover that tomorrow night. But now he's back to where you go through. So it's never going to be the same speed. You're always going to have to shift down, get it back up to speed, and then go again. But man, that's a great. I wish I knew who asked that question, because I'd like, hats off to you. So I'm excited about it. I love seeing other people grow. I love seeing other people win. I like seeing people build a business that will allow them to go build an overland rig, that will allow them to go have, Michael Hill from CCI building a little Miata track car. It's Matt from Dynabraid going up and going fly fishing all over the West. It's Bob and Dave, snow skiing and water skiing. All these things that I see people, Joab, going camping. The guy just camp. I mean, I can give examples. For me, seeing the industry, because a lot of times we are all just in constant survival mode when I came through. And it's cool to see the industry shift. And I hope I played a part in that.
Very cool. Hey, I just saw a comment come through from Robin, circling back on the mobile upcharges. I just thought it was good to highlight. She says she charges a convenience fee.
Ooh.
Ooh, so
I like that. That's Robin. That's Robin right there. Convenience fee. Yeah. I love that. Hi, Robin. I like that, a convenience fee. Yeah. I mean, that's, again, it's your wording in, it's us guys. We kind of spit things out there and no, man, that's seeing it through a convenience fee. I like that.
Yeah.
It's like exfoliating versus claying, it's just different. Did you know the first person to call it exfoliating? And I don't think anybody was calling that before we were. And this is going back 20 something years, 30 years almost. My grandma, I don't know if I've ever said that story.
Huh.
As I was telling her, she goes, well, what the heck is that for? I was showing her clay. And she goes, oh, it's like exfoliating. And it's like, oh man, come on, Nana. It's too awesome, So she's the one that got that stuck with us. So tribute to my grandma.
Very cool. Well, here's a question came in yesterday from Mario Corallo, and it's actually about the new Dynabrade tool.
Hey Mario, sorry I didn't get back with you, but we wanted to answer this on the program today.
Yeah, he sent a pretty good email we got to respond to. But the question in the email was, what are the RPMs of the new Dynabrade polisher, and why did you opt for a 6.8 millimeter throw instead of a 5, 6, or 8 like you find elsewhere in the industry?
So the throw was that was the big one. So the horsepower, okay, let's take this into horsepower and torque. Okay. We wanted a powerful motor that, why don't you read through the specs real quick, Chris? You've got them.
Yeah. So it's a 1,000-watt motor, and OPM, I think he means OPM versus RPM, because I think you use RPM
on rotary.
On just a rotary, but in a DA type movement, you use OPM. So the OPM is 150 to 350 orbits per minute, right?
Gotcha.
Depending on what speed you're running the machine at.
So here's how we determine that: is we have 1,000 watt. We wanted a nice, strong, a lot of horsepower under the hood, and then what we did is we actually had a lot more power to it, 500 OPM, something up in that range. But then we started chest testing all the various throws. And so we had an idea that I didn't care for 5. I knew 5 was going to be, we tested enough units that had 5 that I didn't care for that. So we wanted to go up 6, 7, 8, and 10. 10 was just too light. So we knew we're back to 8. So we said, well, we know what 8 will do. Let's concentrate on 6 and 7. And we took and just by chance is they had a unit come out and they said, we didn't get this with this one's 6, this one's 6.8. And then we're going to come out. We didn't hit it right on the engineering. We'll come up with a 7, in which I think they did, but the 6.8. So we brought the power down, the amount of torque on it, that 500 went down to 380, right? Because we increased the aggressiveness on the throw. Now here's why 6.8 is that we found out at 5 it didn't finish down quite as great. It cut through tremendously well, but it didn't finish down. We found out at 6.8 that it cut just as good as a 5, but it finished down just as good as an 8. And so there's where we came up with that. It took a lot of work. There was a lot. I've got the test models over here. It was a lot, and it's just the smoothness. We have it turning clockwise the right direction, but that's where we came up with that 6.8. Honestly, the engineers made a boo-boo. I'm going to own it right now, as they didn't hit 7, they hit 6.8, and it worked so well that we didn't go back down to 6 and we didn't go up to 7. We kept it at 6.8.
A little bit of an accidental discovery.
It was exactly that. We're going to own it.
I tell people it's like a sweet spot because, it like you just said, it cuts really well still. It finishes really well still. But being a little lower than an 8 millimeter throw, what it does is it actually makes the machine more comfortable to use.
Well, there's the other thing too, is Mario, we actually took and we had so much horsepower in it. It was like a Dodge Demon, is that it was with the horsepower and the 6.8. It was a funny car. It was just go straight and just it just blew the engine up, right? There's so much power to it. So we took and did some dancing with it and figured out, a nice pace, and got it down to where it will do everything that we want. at the right horsepower, the right torque, and at the right throw. And so but the throw, when they did that, I was like, no, don't change it. And even at Air Force One, we were still, because that aluminum's so sensitive, we were still testing it against the other 6s and 7s. And that 6.8 just kept coming back around and just won the competition. So there was a lot of testing and input and brain power and brain cells burnt and all that good stuff coming up with those numbers. And the best thing is these tools are going to be rolling. I don't think Dynabraid's the type, and I'm not. I don't like. It's nothing against version 2s and version 3s and V2s, V3s, all that stuff we like. But we're going to do rolling changes as we go and just announce the rolling changes as we improve things. You'll see them, you'll hear about it, everything else. But we're really excited. If you haven't put the machine in your hand, it's pretty amazing, pretty comfortable.
Yep.
And there's the other reason is vibration too. Is we wanted it to qualify for European standards for vibration. And so if you went down to that 5 millimeter throw or you went up to the 8 and you increased the horsepower to it, is you took it up to 5. I think we were at 540 OPM. Is that the vibrations completely changed too? And so we just think that we got a really comfortable ride, a performance suspension, a nice powerful twin turbo, smaller engine but twin turbo in it, and a strong handling polisher. So we brought it all together. It's just a powerhouse. It does it all.
Well, related to polishing, I'll bring this one up. So Salvador asks, he goes, Renny, I love the podcast and all you know and share about detailing. I have a question. What is the difference between gray Euro wool and the 50/50 buff and shine microfiber?
I don't know the Euro wool is a blend, so it's a perfect blend. I don't know much about the 50/50. If one of the we'll get that answer and maybe we'll have it tomorrow night. We'll make sure. I will tell you this, the 50/50 blend, I think they're very close, but I think the Euro wool is a little more cutting edge, but I hate to give a miss. The microfiber is definitely going to be a blend of microfiber, where the Euro wool is going to be another type of synthetic with wool. I don't think the Euro wool has got microfiber in it. I think it's got like a polyester, if I'm not mistaken. But if Oscar's on, let's get him to come on and answer that. So see what he's got. So I'm not going to totally butcher this up because I don't really know. We love the Euro wool. I haven't been much of a microfiber fan until now. There's some new microfibers really coming out. Short nap wool, I haven't been a big fan of, but Rupes came out with their new one a couple years back, and that's incredible. So pad technology is changing a lot. And that the Euro wool, I can tell you, is a perfect blend, 50/50 blend. It's really nice on more sensitive paints at cutting it, because you're not going to haze it up and mar it up near as bad as you will with a straight out. But I still love a full wool. I think that's, we've got it down to where the wools are so high quality. It's our go-to.
Yeah, I was just trying to look. The Euro wool is 100% knitted wool, but it doesn't, on the website, doesn't get into what the actual blend of the wool is.
Yeah. So that's a tough one, but we will find out the answer. We'll ask the folks over there to take in at Buff and Shine to give us an answer to that and have that for you tomorrow night.
Let me see here. Go to the next one. Got to remember where I put them. Hold on. All right. Another question from Steve Haas. This one's about Crystal Wash from PNS. Is Crystal Wash a good alternative to Iron Buster for folks like me that are concerned about staining a concrete driveway but want to remove iron particles and other contaminants on the paint and wheels?
So Dave came up. Let's see. I know Chris pull that response back from Dave. We can read that off. I'll give you mine first, and then we'll give you Dave, which is our chemist. Dave Phillips, is Bob's brother. So their dad is the genius behind PNS. And then Dave is the genius behind everything that's blended today. He's one of the best blenders the industry's ever seen. This Crystal Wash for me is it doesn't pull, if you ask me, it doesn't pull much of any iron out. So in an area like mine, we don't get a lot of iron. We get a lot of contaminants. We're in the mountains. We got a lot of road grime. It's great at taking in. We use it on coated vehicles. So my personal vehicles, friends' vehicles, if I was running a shop, shop vehicles that we've coated, as a deep cleansing. It's going to go in there and literally pull all the gunk out of all the recesses. People think that paint and coatings are perfectly smooth, but if you're to blow them up, it's like foothills. There's valleys and there's little peaks, and there's valleys and there's peaks, and there's a lot of contaminants that get down in there. Crystal Wash is great at pulling all that contaminants out. I think there's two different products though when you come over to iron, an iron remover, because I don't think Crystal Wash fits that bill. I think that if the iron falls on there immediately and you're doing it as a maintenance, maybe it will pull it off before it embeds. But I think that if you're literally looking at if you've got train tracks and a lot of iron contaminants, and you've got pollution from manufacturing, and there's iron particles that are on the cars constantly, I don't think that Crystal Wash is the answer to that. So you got that answer from Dave?
Yeah, well, I just kind of summarized it, but Dave actually just a week or so ago, he did a comparison test with the products. His conclusion was that Iron Buster is significantly better at removing iron over Crystal Wash. That Crystal Wash left the surface smoother, so I think like you're talking about, it decontaminated the surface, but didn't necessarily pull the iron out as much. He said that he didn't witness the transformation. Usually you see the iron break down, it turns purple and all that kind of stuff. He wasn't witnessing that same transformation as much with Crystal Wash. So I think, kind of the bottom line was that Crystal Wash is a good, light iron remover, especially if you're just doing a decon wash on a coated vehicle to kind of reset the coating. But if you really need to remove iron, you got to really step it up to Iron Buster. That's only what's going to do the job. Now, me from a personal standpoint, Steve mentioned staining driveways. When I do a lot of stuff on my own driveway, and I don't worry too much about my driveway, but I do pay attention to what happens to it. I've never had it stain the driveway. I've had the purple build up on the driveway, but it's never stayed. I've been able to rinse it away. So, that being said, though, I don't want to, don't take that as gospel from me. If you think you're going to stain your driveway with something, definitely protect it, and take precautions.
No, I agree. We've never seen it stained. The other thing is, if you don't, we always do a test spot with iron with Iron Busters. So we'll spray it on the areas, something that's flat, like the hood, just a little spray area, something right behind the front wheel, something towards the back, and then on the back edge where the air rolls back up onto it. If we don't see that it's removing, we don't spray it unless we see a need. Is that a lot of people will cover every single vehicle and they just don't need to. Is that if you don't see it churning, don't use it. If there's not iron present, why are you going to use it? The thing that people don't think about is if there's iron there, you got to get it off. But there's also, in today's world with the smell of iron products, is that smell lingers on the car for a little bit. And so to do it unneededly is that you're just exposing yourself and your customers to some unpleasant scent that's going to hang around for just a little bit. The other thing is when you're using these products, if you're mobile, if you're working in your own, I always tell people anytime you're using any chemical and you're in your driveway, go ahead and layer down a nice layer of foam on top of that and then rinse it so it neutralizes it. And what made me think of that is Chris's dog in the background. Is you want to break down all those chemicals. So your doggies, your cats, your kids, notice how I put that in order, isn't that horrible? Is so that it breaks it down so nobody gets, you don't get your loved ones sick. And so chemicals, are chemicals. And so, and it doesn't sit there and keep coming back up, and you neutralize any smell from any of the chemicals and just get them inactivated, so you're doing a good service to your customer.
And there was a good comment. I do the same thing. This commenter said, I keep the driveway wet and keep the water flowing so that the iron and chemicals aren't just sitting on the concrete.
Great point. Yeah, I'm a big fan of soap, and Pearl will do a good job of neutralizing things, and so, laying down some foam. You also got to be careful with foam though too, because we've noticed in our own, if I get, again, an overland rig, I'll bring it back and I'll foam it after if it's got a real muddy trip, or it's just really filthy, and it just makes dealing with the dirt easier. But gosh dang it, if it rains or I'm out there just washing the cars, I got foam coming up off the driveway for freaking weeks, is because it's a lot. There's a lot of soap that goes down. So you gotta be, conscious of that also.
Yeah. Here's a fun one. I saw Michael Abens on earlier. I don't know if he's still on with us, but Michael Enriquez asked, how emotional was it filming the You're Able Leadership Series video? And how special was it for you to visit those places and reflect on how far you've come in life? So before you answer that, if nobody saw it yet, and we need to do a better job sharing it, but You're Able does their leadership series, and they came out with a 20-something minute long video about Renny, and it was pretty cool, very well done. Those guys do a really awesome job, so we can't thank them enough for that. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen it yet, go find it. It's on the You're Able YouTube channel and all their social media pages.
Yeah.
But anyway, what do you think of that experience?
We need to get that out too, because it is. It's Michael. It was really, they cut out a lot of the mushy parts. There's, we probably, like any video, if you guys, when you shoot, is, there's 20 minutes, but there's probably hours and hours and hours of, actual capture. We got some video of that didn't make it in, of me talking about growing up and how tough it was. My grandma, my mom, all those things. And I really kind of broke down a couple times, and had to stop. So it was really emotional. Going back home, I really hadn't walked on that field when that was true. Is that, hey, man, and some people have asked me, wow, is there that much regret in that? No. There's so much pride in that. I've gone to games. I've gone back as a guest. I've gone back as a spectator. I mean, I'm a Colton Yellow Jacket, through and through. I had never admitted to anybody what I admitted on that video. My wife, nobody had ever heard that before. One time, one quit. I've never quit anything in my life. And so when I admitted that was a big admit, because I don't like, it's not a weakness. It's just that quit really, it bothered me so much that I let myself down, but I let a coach down that cared about me. And I know this going back in high school, and I'm not one of those guys. I don't live in my past. I enjoy my past. I'd love to go on vacation there, but I wouldn't want to relive it. I lived that part, and it's done, and it's made me the man I am. So that it was really emotional. The other thing is admitting that, I'm a dad. I love being a dad. I wasn't a horrible dad, but I didn't hit the mark I wanted to be as a dad. Michael Abrams is, to me, I wanted to be at that level, and I'm sure he's got his faults in his fatherhood. We all do, right? Parenting's, but my hope is, even Michael said this, is that, through me opening up and saying that, even our daughter this last week said something. I've never heard you say that, that you weren't the dad you wanted to be. That's not an easy thing to, and a lot of it is because the pressures I put on myself. And the reason that I said that I wasn't the dad that I wanted to be was that I operate at a really high level. I really do. Is that you look at everything I've done in life, and it's not bragging, it's just a fact, but my demands are high on other people. That's not a good trait for being a dad. And I don't have a lot of nurturing characteristics, nor does Diane. My characteristics are push forward. This is how you do it. Now let's go get it done. And that's, that was tough admitting those two things. But my hope of doing that is there's so many bullshit, stuff about me, my ego, this and that. No, you know what? Nobody knows me. Very few people, know me. And I wanted to show some weakness in the fact that, listen, man, I worked so hard at times that other people, when you put that much into working, and some of it was I had to, some of it was I needed to, and some of it was I wanted to. And it was a decision I made. But when you put that much into something, other people are going to pay too. And that's the part as a dad I didn't realize, is that I was building up so my kids didn't have to live the way I did, but now they had to live a little different than I did. And to me, I was supplying them a life that I didn't have. But to them, that's not necessarily what they wanted. So it's a confusing thing, especially, it is. And so it was I didn't expect it to turn out the way it did. I thought it was cool. Search and rescue came out. Some of the military stuff didn't come out, which is probably good. Some of the things that, I've witnessed on that side of it. And listen, I'm not no special forces dude, I'm a weekend warrior at best. I just told a friend of mine yesterday, I'm in an old man unit now, in the Guard, and I love it because I'm still serving and I'm still doing my part. But search and rescue, I just yesterday applied. I'm applying to be a adaptive ski instructor for people with different types of disabilities or abilities. So I did this when I was young and in school and college. And I specialized in teaching kids with Down syndrome how to ski. And so now I'm taking that to a different level. And it's, again, giving back to the community. But it was a real emotional, the part with my grandma and my mom of being a kid and having to go to work so young, that was a decision. My family was poor, we're on welfare, and I didn't want my grandma to have to hand over food stamps as a proud woman. And so I've worked a long time. If you take the average person that's my same age, I've got several years of work on them, usually. That wasn't by force. That was a choice. And sometimes I get a little bitter that I did that, but then it's also what made me. And so sometimes I get a little bitter at myself because my demands were so high on myself and my family that maybe they didn't have quite the childhood and were able to relax like I wanted them to be able to do because I was so intense. But it's also allowed them, the flip side of that is to be pretty incredible and do incredible things as adults. And so, yeah, you can tell it's still emotional.
Well, it was a cool video. I shared the link in the comments here, so you guys could go check it out.
Cool. Thank you.
And check out some of their other videos too while you're at it. They feature a lot of cool people in the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Chad.
Let's see here. Here's a fun one. So Jeff in where's he at? I think he's Wisconsin. No, Ohio, Iowa. That's where he's at.
We just had a great talk, by the way.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's in Iowa. Anyway, he was the winner of the DB8 giveaway we did just before SEMA. And so he just got it because I had so much stuff to ship out. It took me forever. But he just got it and he loves it. He wants to know, is there a chance of a 3-inch warthog coming in the future?
I cannot confirm or deny that.
Yeah.
But we're working. We're working on stuff.
I'll just say it's not the first time that idea has popped in our heads, and Renny and I have a wish list, and that's definitely on it.
It says, if you look at the name on the box, it says the Renny Doyle series. So there's a hint.
Yep.
We're not going to say a whole lot, but
there you go. And I think I just got one more question. unless you guys got something else you want to bring in.
We had another one that popped up. Remember, I sent you from the last one that we didn't get to answer.
That's the one. That's the one here. So that's the last one I got. What's amazed you most to see happen during your career?
Great question. Two things. I would say that the amount of income that you can build off of this is, coating's definitely changed the game for us, right? I think the perception of detailers that we've become, again, I'll go back to, Matt Mormon. I think he created a culture among a special group that has bled down into other groups, and it's made what we do kind of hip and cool. I think that detailing is respected. I think a lot of people, professionals go, oh man, do it yourselfers. They're promoting that. They're taking business away. No, they've created so much business for us. It's unreal. Is because even the serious DIYers, there's a limit. Now, some of them don't. Some of them are damn good technicians, right?
Yeah.
And they just happen to be car nuts and have cool cars and they like to work on them. But I think it's created even a far greater demand for true professionals. I think that it's up the game for us. I think that you've got people that have got, home built shops that look better than a lot of professional shops. And so I think that it's really, I think that viewpoint on us is pretty amazing. And then the ability to make money. And with that, the education, that's out there is that, when we started training all the way back in almost 20 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of education out there. We were kind of at the forefront. There's probably only about 3 of us that were really, really educating. And that's really changed. Manufacturers have stepped into it. And there's just a lot of people out there that now you can basically go out and practically get a degree, in detailing and really learn and profit and all that stuff. But that's been amazing to see. It's been awesome. And I'm going to see more of it, is that, we're going to push the throttle up and really help people become, my goal is as many millionaires as we can make. And it's not just being worth $1 million. I had somebody tell me, well, it's not really a lot of money anymore. God, man, where I come from still, the poor guy. I had a good friend of mine. I was looking at, we were going back and forth and I was sharing some vehicles with him. He's like, man, just go buy that thing. And I was like, I should, but the poor kid comes out at me still and says, nah, just wait. Especially the economy's kind of going shitty right now. Nah, just wait. Could I do it? Yeah, we could do it. But we want to build people up to where they've got a great life and they got some money put away and they've got retirement set up and they don't work until, the average person, I wish I could find it. I just took a screenshot of it. The average person will go out there and work themselves to death until they're in their 60s and then, save up for retirement and then they'll be sick. They're broken down, they're sick. Their body doesn't work. And man, that's just not human nature. I just don't think that we want to take, especially with all of us exposed to chemicals and tools and working our bodies and everything else, is that, man, the last thing you want to go down is create, put yourself into a self-assigned slavery position to where you just go out and break yourself down. And then the rest of whatever you've got left in life kind of sucks, because it's just not what I want. That's why this week I pulled the trigger on going and do more volunteer work. Chris had mentioned to me, I got in this new unit in the military. He's like, man, why don't you just hang it up? And I'm like, well, I still enjoy it. And now in this new unit, I was like kind of embarrassed. Oh my God, it's badass. And I'm be 58 this next year. Is that I had an opportunity. I just got an opportunity to go back over on the federal side of things and train and work with special forces guys, and train them. And I just said, kind of been there, done that. Sounds fun, but the workload's heavy. And I'm gonna go right back to what I don't want to do. And that's just bunching a bunch of stuff into my life to where I can't fit it in. And so it's nice to be able to spread out some volunteerism. Back on the search and rescue team here locally. And so, those are all things when you see other detailers volunteering and making their communities better, that's huge.
Yep. And we're, I'm not going to give it away yet because we're just starting to work on it, but we're working on a cool project for next year that'll allow us to get together and do volunteer work on a detailing level for people in local communities, not just big projects like Air Force One, but some more specialized.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's it. And Romero just said it, people working all the way up to their 65 and a few months later realizing they can't even afford, and they got to go back to work and work another 10, 15 years just to survive. We've got Doug Parfett in our group is that, he doesn't look it. The guy's, he looks like he's 40, but he tells people that he took all of his vinyl on his van's gone. His website's gone. He just keeps a handful of clients because he loves detailing, and it brings in a really good living, and the cost isn't much.
Yeah.
And so if you've got to look at this perspective wise, when's enough, I do a lot of reading and audiobooks, and I'm listening almost nonstop. And somebody said, we've become a society that doesn't know when enough is enough. Is that it's not that going back on, 65 years old, when I came up, when people retired, their houses were paid for, they'd been paid for maybe 10 years. Now you got people going out and they're 60 years old and taking new mortgages out on homes, 30-year mortgages. They're never going to see that paid off. And so how can they stop working? As society's changed, when can you say enough is enough?
Yep. Well, it's interesting. My mom and dad, I don't know, my mom retired finally about 5 years ago, I think it was. And it took some convincing, she didn't want to stop doing stuff. But I'm like, at some point, Mom, you gotta start enjoying what you've worked so hard for all your life, because you never know. You might retire and find out next year you got some major health problem that nobody knew about. It's like it just seemed like she was rolling the dice.
Yeah. It's and Chad said it right here. Pray I can work, maybe not detail till I die, but because I need the cash. Is put yourself in a successful position. You're going to age out before you know it. It happens. I know you guys are in your 20s and 30s. You've heard that from parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, all that stuff, but it does. And so, if the sooner that you can put, invest in IRAs, invest in retirements, invest in, this is all pre-tax dollar stuff. You've got to work with your bookkeeper and your CPA. There's things that you can be doing that you can put, even medical savings accounts, all these different things that are before tax dollars that are going to help you later in life.
Yep.
No, Sarah, you're exactly right. As a lot of people fear that they're not going to have enough to retire on, and health will decline. And again, it's where you got to set yourself up. That's where being an entrepreneur, is entrepreneur. Everybody thinks about that, but now this is another one. Let's go back to that statement. What's changed? Now you can go out and become a rep for a company. So let's say you're 10 years into your detailing, you've done really well, you've built up a good reputation. Maybe somebody comes to you and offers you a really good career. You can still be an entrepreneur in that business and figure out a way to make the company more money and to continue your skill set that you've learned being 100% on your own, but now you're working with the company, you're collaborating. And so you bring more value, but you also get some retirement built into that and everything else. There's a lot of things that you can do on that side of things, is to get, it's not just about, sometimes entrepreneurship's not the only answer. There's other ways to go in. And, I had a good situation when I was young. Had I stayed in that, no, Diane's been, my wife's been quick to point out that there was I was always going to be fighting, headquarters, on stuff, because they knew I was good at what I did, but I couldn't be making more than the CEO. They were small thinking. Is that I just listened to another guy that I really respect, talking about exactly that, is that as the CEO, he had a couple people making more money than he did that was on his staff, and he was okay because that just made he was making more money. And if you look at equity, a lot of people don't look at that. Is that when people are taking and building up your company like that, yeah, they might be their weekly paycheck might be more than yours, but the equity they're building up in your company is irreplaceable.
Yep. Romero, I was just going to reply to him, but he says time flies and it haunts me and reminds me daily as I see my kids grow fast and see my parents aging. He says it's painful reminder to push, but to also enjoy the journey along the way. You know, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Because my kid, you know, my son's 16 now, and I miss when they were little, but I'm really enjoying what they're becoming as, you know, teenagers and young adults too.
Absolutely.
So,
well, and I told our oldest daughter, this when she went into the Marine Corps, is listen, Mom and I are going to age rapidly now. And she's like, why? Why is it going to change? I said, because you're going to be gone and you're not going to see us. And when you come back 2-3 years later, we're going to look different. You're maturing where we're aging. And now it's funny because, you know, she's you know, I can tell she can see it, you know, but here's the thing, man, is aging is part of it. You know, we've become such a society of, you know, inner beauty and external beauty and this and that. And, you know, all this crap that you see, you know, all in front of us. But, you know, aging is beautiful if you allow it. I mean, it's again, I've said it many times, and we'll end with this. Steve Harvey says it best, man. Old's the goal. You know, you want to age out and see, you want to carry through, you know, is that one of Dave Morris, one of my dear best friends, somebody that was important to me in life and in business, you know, he just buried a kid, man. And nobody wants to do that, you know. You know, it's you want to grow old and see life, and death is part of that journey. So, but what a lot of great questions, and we sure, you know, appreciate y'all attending today. Make sure to sign up for tomorrow night. It's going to be exciting. I'm going to go back and work on the slides right now. So join us if you can. And again, thanks for all the support. Thanks for all you do. And we appreciate. We want to reach out and tell PNS Double Black thank you, Dynabrate thank you. You know, they help make our world go around so we can put these podcasts and so forth on. And we're excited to have them as partners. So you guys go out and have a great one. And Chad, thank you, bud. Appreciate that. Nice comment. So you guys all take care, man. Go out and live a great life today. Enjoy what you got. Be thankful for 3 things. We'll see you all later.
See you guys.